Hello, everybody, and welcome to another CLNS Red Sox Roundtable. My name is Alex Barth. I'm joined today by Nick Quaglia and from 98.5 The Sports Hub, Matt McCarthy. Gentlemen, how you doing?
What's happening?
Doing well, Alex. Happy to be alongside today.
We are about halfway through spring training now, so we thought it would be a good opportunity to check in once again. First of all, it's March 10th, and we're halfway through spring training. Season starts absurdly early this year, right? Or is that just me?
Yeah, I feel like it's on like a rotation. I feel like this does this every couple of years. March 29th, though, early as hell.
Yeah.
Thank God they're not playing in Cleveland early this year.
Right.
They open up in Tampa. That's nice. Glad to see Major League Baseball finally figured out that you shouldn't be playing games in early April and late March in places like Cleveland.
It really is absolutely absurd that they do that. But yeah, they'll be in Tampa and then Miami. And the question we posed last time we spoke, and the question we're going to pose again because we have new information, will Blake Swihart be with the team for that season opener down in Tampa? Will he make the opening day roster? Still kind of without a position, but his offense, some think, have been there. 9 games, he's hitting .385, slugging .467. He's got 6 doubles and a home run, 8 RBIs, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts. Now, those are good numbers. The .385 is great, but isn't he supposed to be a power bat? I feel like those power numbers, right? Just 1 home run in 9 games and 30 at-bats. Maybe I'm being a grouchy old man. I feel like his home run number should be higher. I feel like that's really the reason. If you're keeping him on this team, it's for a power boost. It's not to hit .385 because he's not going to do that over a long period of time. Matt, your thoughts?
No, he's not supposed to be a power bat. He's never really been a power bat throughout his entire minor league career. I mean, does he have a little pop? Sure, but I mean, this is not like your prototypical catcher who, is first and foremost a defensive guy, will hit .220 and maybe has a little pop because he's a big burly guy. That's not who Swihart is. Swihart is supposed to be a better all-around hitter, which you generally don't get. Somebody who has the ability to go out there and hit .280, .290, which you're not going to get from the majority of catchers in the bigs. So if you're looking for power from Blake Swihart, I'd say you're looking in the wrong place. Now, he's never really shown the ability consistently to be an excellent hitter at the big league level. Granted, he hasn't had a lot of opportunities. He's been hurt. So, but if you're looking for power from him, I'm just saying you're probably expecting it, looking it in the wrong place.
Well, let me rephrase that. I don't mean that he's a guy who's going to come in and hit 35, 40 home runs, but I mean he has the ability to use the wall, hit doubles, go to extra bases. Not that he's a home run power guy, but kind of can hit the ball all over the field to all fields kind of guy.
Yeah, I think that's more in line with what Swihart could do, but I would say he's never done that at the big league level. So if you're expecting Blake Swihart to all of a sudden figure it out, I think you're expecting a little bit too much. Here's how I view Swihart. Swihart is a guy who's not good enough defensively to be an everyday catcher in the big leagues. He's probably not a outstanding enough hitter to justify putting him behind the plate on a day-to-day basis because, again, he's not very good defensively. I think the advantage that a guy like Blake Swihart gives you is he can do a lot of things. You can move him around the field. I mean, when they moved him to left field, he played there pretty well. I know people hated that decision for some reason. I think people who have never watched him catch hated that decision. But you can move him around the field. He's a utility guy. If he can be a utility guy who can also catch a little bit, there's an advantage. There's something that Blake Swihart can do that almost no other utility guy can do around the league. I think that's what you're going to get from Blake Swihart. If he can move around, catch a little bit, come on late games, run for catchers, run for Vasquez, run for Leon in situations, and then you can put him behind the plate, for a few innings. That's the advantage of a guy like Blake Swihart. I think if you're expecting anything more, then you just haven't watched this guy play.
Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, I think there's an insane value that people aren't talking about with him, and I was going to bring that part up too. It's just the fact that he can play the outfield, he can catch. He's going to be so big in late game situations. And the person that I think that he's kind of competing with is Brock Holt. And that's his advantage over Brock Holt. I think he's a better hitter than Brock Holt. And in late game situations, he needs to run. Just like you said, he can come in and run for Sandy Leon, who he knows is not fast. Christian Vasquez, who he knows is not fast. And if he has to go play the outfield, he can play the outfield. And I did not think he was awful when he played left field until he ran into that wall. His bat has always been quick. I've never really, and I'm glad we kind of rephrased this whole questioning when it comes to his power bat, because I never thought he was really a power bat, but I thought he would produce more with with getting balls off the wall. But a guy who gets on base, he's not going to be a starter every day. That's kind of what I expect out of him. Just a guy who's going to come in and produce when I need him to. And I think that Blake Swihart has that capability, which is why I think he has to be on this opening day roster, and which means somebody's going to have to go.
Well, and we'll get to that in a bit. And if you missed it on this one, you can, if you're watching on YouTube, you can check out all the other Red Sox roundtables on the CLNS Media YouTube channel. Let me ask you guys this. You kind of just described all this value in a guy who's great in late game situations. Would he possibly have more value to a National League team where those substitutions and pinch hitting are a lot more prevalent than an American League team? And I think, honestly, just given the Red Sox history and his history in Boston, there's as good of, if not a better chance that he is moved before the season starts, as opposed to on the roster. I think a National League team, based on the player you guys just described, would be all over that and maybe willing to overpay for that a little bit. So what do you guys, I guess, what would you rather see, and what do you think will happen by opening day? He's traded or he's on the roster?
I think you're absolutely correct that his value is most maximized in the National League, where you can double switch. You have to pinch hit. I mean, having a guy like Swihart on a National League team would be a huge asset. Here's the thing, though. I don't think they're going to get much for him, even though, we bring that up, because he's never done it at the big league level. I mean, we're projecting here with Blake Swihart. So I think Swihart's value to the Red Sox is greater than what any other team is going to be willing to give up for him. I'm still at the point with Swihart. I want to give him a chance. I want to see him play a full season, which he's never played at the big league level, before I start dumping him off to the Arizona Diamondbacks or something. Because again, you're still not going to get enough value in return for Swihart to justify trading him. So
come on, Blake Swihart for Zack Greinke. Who says no? Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
No, absolutely. I think you got to keep him on the roster. And just what we're just saying, there's too much value. I think he's going to end up on this roster. I don't think they're going to trade him, because realistically, the Red Sox are looking right now, if they're going to make a move, I think, for a middle of the rotation veteran pitcher. I don't think you're going to get that with Blake Swihart.
No.
After this season, he produces, he shows something, he shows that he can stay healthy, then we can have this conversation again next season. But this whole no options thing is kind of throwing a logjam into this whole conversation. This kid has talent. I think he has a lot of talent. It just stinks to figure out where to put this talent. I don't want to see him moved, but he's not going to get an everyday role. And eventually, I think he can prove to have an everyday role.
That's where I disagree. I'm not so sure that Blake Swihart is an everyday player in the bigs. And again, just because defensively, behind the plate, I don't think you can justify putting him there every day. And I don't know if he's a good enough hitter. I don't know if he's an impact enough hitter to put him, say, in the outfield every day, where you need more power from your outfielder. Yeah. First base, that's a power position. Third base, which he could probably play. I mean, this guy was a high school shortstop. So if you put him at third base, he could probably figure it out there too. But again, those are power positions. So Swihart's a bit of a tweener, because sure, if he could catch, then you would take his offensive production behind the plate any day of the week. In theory, again, we're projecting his offensive ability.
Yep.
But I don't think he can consistently do that. You can't take Christian Vasquez or Sandy Leon out of the lineup every day, because they are significantly better behind the plate. So you got a bit of a tweener here with Swihart, which is okay, which is why I think his value is absolutely maximized as a utility player. And, I mean, what can Brock Holt give you at this point? I mean, if you still think Brock Holt is the Brock star, I don't think you've watched baseball games over the last 2.5 years. Right?
And again, with Blake Swihart, too, you keep mentioning we're projecting. It's been 9 games. He's still got half a spring training to play, so we'll see. Again, this roundtable is brought to you by SeatGeek. Use the promo code CLNS at SeatGeek.com, or you can check out their app for a discount on your order. Well, if Blake Swihart's going to make the team, somebody's got to be left off. Again, this is a CLNS Red Sox roundtable. Alex Barth, Nick Quaglia, Matt McCarthy joining you. And it seems like that person who could get left off comes at the infield position. Alex Cora was talking to the media this week, and he seemed a bit, let's say, concerned about not having Dustin Pedroia for the start of the season, maybe more than one would think. We know Pedroia has chronic injury history to begin with. At the start, looks like Eduardo Nunez, second baseman, no issue. But Eduardo Nunez gave them a good half a season last year. Who knows what you can get out of him? Do they have enough? And Matt, we'll start with you. Do they have enough to make up for Pedroia's absence, which looks like it'll just be a month, maybe a month and a half? And how worried should Red Sox fans be about not having Dustin Pedroia to start the season?
If Nunez is healthy, they're fine, because I think Nunez is an impact type of player. I mean, we saw the spark that he gave the Red Sox lineup when he was in there at the top of the lineup last year. Now he's not going to be doing that this year, which is good, because you're probably going to put Betts back towards the top of the lineup, which I'm a big proponent of. But then again, it's Eduardo Nunez, and this guy had a bad knee injury last year. Apparently, he's come through it fine. We'll see. So I say that yes, they're fine with Pedroia going to be out a month, two, however long he's out, if Nunez is healthy. If Nunez is not healthy, then you're getting into the Devin Marrero situation. You're looking at Brock Holt. I mean, you're going down the list. Marco Hernandez, who's got a lengthy injury history as well. So yeah, then that becomes more concerning. But then again, at the same time, with the addition of JD Martinez and by moving Betts up towards the top of the lineup and hopefully Bogart's rounding back into form this year, I think you should be able to withstand Pedroia's absence for the first few months of the season, however long it may be. But if Nunez gets hurt, that's when you start saying, okay, when's Pedroia coming back? When's this guy going to be here?
Yeah, if this was a whole season situation, then I think this question would have a lot more to discuss, because then you're talking about Eduardo Nunez's health throughout the entire year and then what you're going to have to go through after that. But only for a month. So far, Nunez is fine. Nunez is healthy. He hit 321 last year when he showed up to Boston. That is plenty enough. You stick him at 7, 8, or 9 at the bottom of the lineup, he's going to be fine. The Red Sox have a lot of bats ahead of him that are going to make up for any production loss from Dustin Pedroia. So, I mean, Dustin rest. Dustin relax. You'll be fine. The Red Sox are going to be fine with Eduardo Nunez. And honestly, that signing, a lot more important now, because we knew Dustin Pedroia was going to be out. I was kind of shocked Eduardo Nunez didn't sign with the Red Sox earlier on in the offseason. I thought it made too much sense, especially with Pedroia being out and Pedroia having that surgery. So, Nunez, catalyst for the beginning of the season. And now, Dustin Pedroia, get some rest, bud. I think Eduardo Nunez is going to be fine.
But when it comes to fielding a team, and I understand maybe lineup-wise it's not as big of a deal, but when you're looking at putting 9 guys out there defensively, right, Eduardo Nunez does have the injury history. Let's not forget Xander Bogaerts tends to get banged up from time to time as well. So if it is more than a month for Pedroia, does this justify them maybe having to keep Brock Holt, Devin Marrero on the roster, as opposed to a guy like Blake Swihart, who we talked about in the previous segment? If you missed that, you can check it out on the CLNS YouTube page. Do they need to keep a Brock Holt or Devin Marrero on the roster over Blake Swihart because they need that extra insurance in the middle infield position?
I think it's best for them to keep Marrero because Marrero is a better defender. And again, the way the roster construction is going to work out, if you keep Swihart over Holt, that's fine, because Swihart basically jumps into that utility infield, outfield, can play first base, can play the outfield.
Can he play the middle infield, though?
No, he can't. And I would never put him at the middle infield, and that's why you keep Marrero. Because Marrero is an excellent defender. Can't hit a lick, but he's an excellent defender. And you want Marrero on the roster too because of Rafael Devers at third base. That's a late game situation. You can put Marrero in as a defensive substitution. And then remember, Nunez can play the outfield as well. So you don't have to carry any additional outfielders. If you carry Nunez and you carry Swihart, you can basically just roll with the 4 outfielders you have, obviously counting Martinez, and then you load up on infielders on the roster because you're going to have Moreland, Hanley Ramirez, Marrero, Swihart. I mean, just run down the list. You can figure it out infield, outfield. So if they let the Dustin Pedroia situation impact their decision on Blake Swihart versus Brock Holt, they're doing it wrong. They're doing it completely wrong.
And it's not like they've never made a wrong decision before. Nick, what do you think?
Yeah.
No, Brock Holt's the odd man out. I just don't see how he fits into this roster at all. He's not. I don't think he'll be on the roster at all. Devin Marrero he's young, he's fresh, he's a great fielder. Watching him field is a treat every night, or when he's out there. But I just don't see a spot for Brock Holt on this roster. I don't see what he does that justifies keeping him on, especially even if you want to think about Xander Bogaerts getting hurt. I just don't think that Brock Holt has any juice that justifies keeping him over Devin Marrero or a Blake Swihart. I think his time's up. I just do. Xander Bogaerts, that decision, like you said, that decision should not have any impact on whether or not Brock Holt makes his roster. It would not make any sense.
Yeah, and let's keep in mind, too, that Swihart is a switch hitter. Brock Holt only hits lefty. So when you're constructing the bench, lefty, righty, Marrero being a right-handed hitter helps in that situation because if, in theory, Blake Swihart is, a predominantly left-handed hitter, as a switch hitter, what's the value again of Brock Holt? Because Swihart and Holt should be about the same defensively, right? I mean, we saw Swihart was more than passable in left field. So Marrero obviously gives you more defensively than any of those guys. I think when it comes down to roster construction, that's how they should look at it and how they will look at it.
We'll see when the final roster's out. We'll have plenty of reaction analysis on Twitter at Red Sox CLNS and, of course, on the CLNS YouTube page. This roundtable has been brought to you by SeatGeek. You check out SeatGeek.com or go to their app. Use the promo code CLNS for a discount off your purchase. Last segment on this CLNS Red Sox Roundtable, Alex Barth, Nick Quaglia, Matt McCarthy, and it's been my favorite segment all offseason because it's the one that nobody seems to acknowledge as a problem. The Red Sox starting rotation. I think everybody's so wrapped up in Chris Sale. And Nick, were you the one who told me David Price was going to win 17 games? I don't
think so, but he will.
Gee, they have such a problem in the starting rotation. I said this last time, I'll say it again. They have a great top one. They might have the best top one in the American League. It is question mark after question mark after question mark after that. You people told me you were fine with Drew Pomeranz because of how he finished out the year. I told you he had injury problems. Boom, he gets hurt. If you trust Rick Porcello, you need to have your head examined. Same with David Price. Eduardo Rodriguez isn't going to start the year. Stephen Wright probably won't either. So what are they doing? Why are they still sitting on their hands? I've said they need a Drew Fister type signing, but they signed him in June last year. They don't have that luxury to wait. Is the Red Sox starting rotation the biggest concern as it stands right now, Matt?
No, it's still their offense. It's still their ability to hit for power.
But they don't have a starting five.
Yeah, but a lot of teams at this point of the year have guys who will not be ready for the start of the season. Listen, you need to be 8 deep when you're constructing your starting rotation. And, Brian Johnson will come in and hopefully give you something for the first week or two of the year. The starting rotation coming out of camp doesn't look great. I still don't think long-term it's their biggest problem on this team. You make valid points. Should you trust Rick Porcello? Should you trust Drew Pomeranz? What's David Price's health going to be? All valid points. But you know what? Their starting rotation was pretty decent last year. At least over the course of 162 games, they were able to get enough out of that group to win the division. Now, you want to talk about all those guys having question marks in the playoffs, that's fine because they're all valid. I still think their ability to hit for power is a bigger concern than the starting rotation going into the year.
The answer is Brian Johnson. No, you just said it. Brian Johnson's the number 5 guy. They've been rolling him out in a lot of spring training games. They obviously want to see what he can do against major league rosters. So I think that's their game plan. Number 5, it's gonna be Brian Johnson. Chris Sale, excellent number 1. Nobody's disputing that. David Price, I know you have a lot of skepticism because that's what you do. You love skepticism.
Realist, Nick. Get it right. I mean, realist.
Yeah, I was too last year. I entered last year and I was like, you know what? F David Price. I can't deal with that guy. This season, I believe in second chances. I'll give him a second chance.
What about third chances?
I believe in.
I believe like chance number 3 here.
I've given ex-girlfriends 3 chances. I'll do it for David Price.
Well, that sounds like a you problem to me. But let me ask you this: you have Brian Johnson as the 5. Who's the 4? Hector Velasquez? If Pomeranz isn't ready to go,
Pomeranz is going to be fine. He walked off the mound. They said he believes he will be fine. It's a left forearm tightness. He'll be okay. He took himself out of the game. He's done that before. We've seen him take himself off the mound before for tightness.
That's real encouraging.
It's spring training.
Very encouraging to see.
Get a little kink.
Let me ask you this. Jake Arrieta's still out there. Alex Cobb's still out there. I believe Lance Lynn is a free agent. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I believe he is. Do you think the Red Sox make a move with this rotation, whether it be before the season starts or in the first month or so of the season?
No, they're done spending money. This is the team they feel like is going to be their team moving forward. The Martinez signing put them over the luxury tax, and then there are certain, to my understanding, there are certain points in the tax where you get taxed more and more the farther you go over it. So they have decided that they are done spending money after sinking $25 million into JD Martinez. This is basically the team you're going to have moving forward this season. Real quick point about who's the four. Generally, and okay, I don't have the schedule in front of me. You generally don't need 5 starters until about 2 or 3 weeks into the season.
Yeah, they have 2 off days, I think, in the first
2
week.
off days. They can get that figured out if somebody needs an extra week or 2 to get ready for the start of the season. So they can figure it out. I mean, again, talk to me in May about the starting rotation.
I will.
Every team coming out of camp always has concerns coming with the starting rotation because there's always somebody who isn't ready for the start of the season. That's the way it goes for just about everybody. So you bring up valid points, absolutely, but talk to me in May, and then I'll press the panic button in May if it still looks like this.
Yeah, there's no way this team is spending any more money. They just can't do it because anybody who's on the market, they're gonna
They can do it. They just don't want to do it.
Exactly, they don't want to do it. Even though they're charging me $9.50 for a beer, they're not gonna want to do it. Anybody who you get from the free agent market who's going to be a pitcher, like Arrieta's going to get a pretty good chunk of change. The Red Sox aren't going to want to spend that kind of money. They're just not going to want to spend that kind of money.
Will he, though? He's still out there. That value has to be dropping by the day. Same for Cobb, same for Lynn.
Yeah, but he'll still get it. He'll get more than 15 mil, I think, a year.
I don't know about that anymore. If you told me a month ago, maybe, but those guys are still there.
Yeah, and you look at the deal that Moustakas just took. I mean, that's obviously he wasn't expecting to take that type of deal. You make a good point, Alex, and hey, I'm all for it. I mean, I'm not trying to make it seem like I'm not for going out and adding to the starting rotation and taking advantage of the slow market. I'm just telling you, the Red Sox don't think that way. The Red Sox aren't going to approach it that way. They are done spending money. They are tapped out this offseason.
Now you're being the realist. I appreciate that. But look, I will buy however much beer at Fenway it takes for them to add another starting pitcher if they feel like that's what they need to afford it, because it would make me a lot more comfortable having a guy in the rotation that's won a playoff game. Won a minor league playoff game, a real playoff game.
It doesn't matter how much beer you buy at Fenway, all right? The Red Sox, when they decide they're done spending money, they're done, okay? You can go out on opening day and buy 10 beers there, and that's not going to change their calculations on how much money they're going to spend on this team whatsoever.
Well, I guess if John Henry needs his new center back for his football team, he'll get it or whatever. That'll do it for the CLNS Red Sox Roundtable. Matt McCarthy from 98.5, thank you very much for joining us.
Always good to be on with you guys.
Nick Qualia as well. If you missed any of this, you want to catch more of the videos, you can check them out on the CLNS YouTube channel. The full audio version is available at clnsmedia.com. It was brought to you by SeatGeek. Check out SeatGeek.com or go to their app. Use the promo code CLNS for a discount on your order. So until next time, for Matt McCarthy and Nick Qualia, my name's Alex Barth for CLNS.